Hello. Welcome, everyone, to the Exchange Zone, the 5th episode of the season. Ben Dewey here on a relatively cool Sunday evening here in the state of Iowa as we work towards the end of September and we reach the midway point of the season as of this week. Joined as always here by Kyle Wagner. How are you tonight?
Fantastic. Finally got some cool weather. Hopefully fall is here to stay. Good weekend.
Yeah, it really was, and it sure feels good to get some cool weather. I think the athletes will appreciate that here this week. Just not having to go out and sweat it out every single run. Not complaining, because it could be really cold and miserable to be outside. But
no kidding.
But overall, I think it's going to be a great week of weather. I think we've kind of turned into that fall season now. And with that should be great competition and continued improvement. So, as always, we'll have a great show on schedule tonight, or hopefully as always, but no guests tonight. We're going to go and just go through the midseason evaluation, see where we're at as a state, and really focus on as much content as possible tonight. We're also still trying to figure out our interviews and make sure they're not skipping and lagging. So just a good night to just keep it here in-house. And tonight we'll have several segments. We're going to take a look at some mid-season awards as well. We're going to go in-depth at a few meets last week. You've got Starmont, and I've got Cedar Falls and the Heartland Classic, but we'll also touch on a lot of other competition. If you would, we would love you to subscribe to the Exchange Zone, and subscribing just continues to grow our podcast, and you can see all of those different social media networks that you can subscribe to, as well as the podcast, which is still released weekly on Mondays on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, and Google Podcasts. Also, if you would like to communicate and reach out to us, our emails are on the screen. And I tell you what, since we've given the emails, we forgot the first couple weeks, we've gotten so many emails, and it really helps this show because it gives us more information and allows us to be a little bit more clean and also a little bit more well-versed when we talk about certain athletes and teams.
Absolutely. A little less time throughout the week diving to see if every team has everybody. If you have 3 or 4 runners held out, send that. It's a lot easier for us to just quickly move on. If you want to give us a mid-season evaluation, I think that's fair, since we're going to do that tonight. And then if you have interview suggestions, please send those. We'll always take those.
I got some mid-season evaluations early last week on Monday and Tuesday. So, anyways, it's all good, and it's good, positive or negative. To be fair, I appreciate any email and feedback we can get because we'll use it all to hopefully make the show better. All right, I'm going to start with something really positive, something that I saw just today, and it was just under the radar. Really, I had no idea that this was happening. How about Ottumwa? They go and they create what we assume to be the first lighted links cross-country meet in state history. You can see some of those pictures on the screen right now. Shout out to Ottumwa High School Activities. This was, I believe, sponsored by Musco, which is obviously the world's leading light manufacturer. And they lit up this golf course, Kyle. I don't know what teams were there. I haven't seen results yet.
I saw Clear Lake tweeted them out.
Okay.
Because I was trying to find it too, and I couldn't. But this is sweet. This is like Augie Twilight. Obviously a much smaller scale, but this is something I'd love to do too, but Ottumwa beat me to it.
Yeah, and they probably have a connection down there in southeast Iowa to Musco, which is based out of Oskaloosa. But really cool deal, and, I think this is something that can only continue to grow the sport and could be a destination if they want to grow this thing. I'm sure schools from all over the state are going to see this. I believe it is on Saturday night, and just rave reviews. I think, do we have one more slide? Yeah, there's the picture of the golf course. Look at that. Just a beautiful setting. They had some Jumbotron big screens that had football games going on Saturday night. I'm not sure if they threw the results of the meet and other things like that, but looked to be a great event. So shout out to Ottumwa, and what a great idea, and hopefully they grow this thing and see where it goes.
I'm sad I didn't get invited.
Bondurant?
I would have been there,
Yeah.
even if we weren't racing. That's sweet.
Yeah, for sure. Ottumwa having a good fall. The football team's undefeated.
Nice.
So really cool to see, and then put something like this on. So good stuff from the Bulldogs. All right, you've got a couple things down that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, just things I noticed when looking through results this week is this year far more than years past. Just so many meets that had several incomplete teams. You know, there were some that had one complete team, some with 2, 3. You know, I don't know what to say about it, other than, the simple solution is, okay, let's cut that meet and combine 2 meets and make better meets, because I don't know if it's worth kids traveling to meets those sizes when you can only have a handful or less of complete teams.
Yeah, it seems like, especially this last week or so, I've just been noticing a lot of small teams, small meets as well. It's kind of cool what Okoboji and Spirit Lake did earlier, combining that meet, making that big meet in Northwest Iowa, and I think that benefited everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, maybe you might see some of the smaller schools consolidating meets into a more of a regional look, and maybe have, 1 or 2 meets in a month where, you get 20 to 30 teams up there.
Right. And I do think, college does pre-nationals. It's not everybody goes, but I think a mid-season meet like that, where you are assigned to a location, whatever, week 4 of the season, everybody's assigned a meet, so then you're going up against certain ranked competition, or even if it's geographic, but then everyone's going to some decent-sized meets, and you got a eye test for everybody.
I think pre-states would be pretty cool, and you have to qualify for it. Maybe you could use this new cross-country ratings as the top 20 teams, all classes combined, or the top however many individuals. You all get invited to a site and have a pre-states. Maybe it's in Ottumwa under the lights. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be.
But anyways, yeah, I agree. And hopefully those small teams get full lineups, and then we're going to get into that discussion of 4 or 5 in a scoring lineup, and we don't want to go down that path tonight, but it kind of looks like we're losing numbers in some of those small school teams.
Mm-hmm. Especially with golf going to the fall next year.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to our quick question of the night. Joel, I think this is a good one.
Yeah, this will be a
I
good
need to
one.
put it on the Twitter. Hold on. Go ahead and read it.
Yeah, so this week's quick question is,
You got to talk louder or into the microphone.
what brand of shoe do you prefer to wear when running? Asics, Brooks, Hoka, or Nike?
What do you think, Kyle?
So in college, we had, I don't want to say sponsored by, but ASICS, so we got a really good deal. So it made sense to go with ASICS. But post-college, I'm big Team Brooks guy. Brooks Ghost, Brooks Glycerin, that's the way to go.
Joel, you're an
usually-
avid runner.
Usually I've always gone with Hoka. I've had pretty good luck with them, but I've tried just about all the brands, but I've usually just stuck with Hoka.
And you know what? I don't really have a preference. I've worn all but the Hokas. I'd say probably Nike. Uh-oh, something went wrong, but don't fret. Let's give it another shot. It's probably because we got blocked out. Nope. Tweet went through.
All right,
Get out
success.
there get out there and vote on the IATFCC Twitter. Go ahead and give your vote. That's a great question, and I think it'll be close. I think we're going to see a very close Twitter result. All right, Kyle. New segment. grab my hat here. By the way, those award winners for our Bloomer Trivia, I've placed the order. It's going to be a Hawkeye gold colored hat with the Exchange Zone logo. We're looking at about a week to 2 weeks to get it delivered, and then we'll mail them out. So we'll be looking to get those today. I hear.
That was my laptop.
Okay. All right, here we go. Panic or not?
He's panicking already.
Panicking. Okay, so let me give a little disclaimer first. We're not trying to be negative on any sort of team, but we went through and we highlighted, 5 or 6 teams that were ranked in the top 3 in the preseason as a team. And we're going to go through panic or not here at the midway point evaluation. All right, so I've got my hat here. Christian's got that on video, and I'm going to draw the first one. The Ankeny Boys, preseason number 3 by the IATC, led by Ethan Zuber, Ike Smith. I'm going to let Kyle go first on this one. Panic or not for the Hawks in a trophy position at the midway point?
Yes. Like you said, preseason number 3. I think we both had them preseason number 2, or at least that high up.
They were my pick to win it here on the preseason show.
And I do think they have some work to do to be in that podium conversation, especially with Prairie and Indianola taking off like crazy, especially the last couple weeks. To be in that conversation, yes, I do think they have some work to do. Are they in panic of being a qualifier? Absolutely not. But to be in that conversation for a top 3 finish, yes.
And I think they made a step forward this week at GRIAC. I know it's hard to compare with all those schools up there, and we'll talk a little bit about GRIAC later, but I think that might have been their best meet of the year. Tate Brownsberger looked to have his best race, and he was a big contributor last year. So hopefully Ankeny moving in the right direction, so well coached.
Mm-hmm.
I would say panic for a state title. I still think trophy contention, they're still in that conversation just because of what happened last year late in the year, how they just surged so quickly. Zuber as a low stick. Ike Smith's running great. So I'm going to put him still in trophy contention. I think it's a long shot for a state title.
True, and that's a good clarification. Like, I think earlier in the season they were maybe a lock for
A trophy.
A trophy, or preseason a lock for a trophy is what maybe we thought. Now the panic is that they're not, like you just mentioned, a lock for a trophy and top 3 finish.
Joel, are you panicking on Ankeny?
I'd say I'm not panicking yet. I just know what they can do towards the end of the season. So I would say I still have a lot of faith in them and what they can do. But I would say state title, probably not quite.
Okay. All right, number 2, here we go. Do I have to shake it?
Yeah.
The Monticello Girls. Monticello Girls. Let me pull up a few notes here. Preseason number 2 in Class 2A. Currently ranked 12th. They got 4th at their home meet a week ago, behind Mid-Prairie, Tipton, and Denver. 3rd at the state meet last year. 4 of those 5 ladies were slated to come back. We have not seen Hallie Recker yet, 61st at the state meet last year for Monticello. Panic or not?
Well, with 3 of top 5, hopefully they're getting her back here soon, or by the end of the season. For me, I had them preseason 6, so in that sense, I'm saying no. But from the rankings perspective, yes, absolutely. When you return 4 of 5. Now that top 6 I would say was all pretty comparable coming back with Mid-Prairie. Well, Mid-Prairie lost a lot, but brought in a lot. Denver, Tipton adding Steinis, Van Meter, Des Moines Christian did bump up. So you'd think Monticello would be in that podium conversation with what was returning, but with just missing one key runner in a 2A school can be pretty detrimental. So in that sense, I would say slight panic.
And I am panicked on Monticello. I just at this point in time, I think it's going to be hard for them to get in trophy contention. Now, the bright side, 2A girls, which we're going to talk about here shortly, is wide open. So you get a runner back, you really start to get things rolling here in the second half of the year. They've shown they've got the ability. Third a year ago, 4 or 5 back. But right now I'm going to hit the panic button on Monticello. All right, 3 to go. We need like a little music. South Wind.
All right.
South Wind, one of Kyle's, I say they're one of your favorite programs
I think
up in
so.
your stomping grounds.
Very weird growing up a rival against them that
Yeah.
I like. I'm going to be short and sweet on this one. Panic, no panic. To me, Southwind in Class 1A is Mr. October. I know state's in November this year, but Southwind always shows up. Not worried one bit.
I will second that. 1A, first off, wide open, similar to 2A. There's 5 to 7 schools maybe in trophy contention. I think there's 5 teams that could win it. They're definitely one of them as of right now. Obviously, some things going on with some other programs in 1A. But they've only ran a few times this year, kind of under the radar. Had an easy win this week. Where were they at? Elkader?
Elkader, yep.
Central Elkader. But they're still in good position. They always have the most depth of any 1A school, typically, in that girls' program. So I think they're okay right now. But we'll see. And you said before the show start, they don't get the competition necessarily in some of the schools here in Central Iowa or Eastern Iowa get. So it'll be anxious to see how that goes when they do start to raise some competition.
I feel like we always are like you just said, they don't see a lot of people early, so we often panic on them early, but not worried. And how cool is it that of 6 of the 8 races, there's maybe 2 locks, I would say, in the field right now. So it's awesome to have that parity that we're going to have some really fun discussion the next few weeks.
Absolutely. All right, down to 2. Here we go. Eyes closed on that one. The Ames girls. Down to 2 here. Now, this is an interesting one. Preseason number 7. So not necessarily in trophy contention mindset at the beginning. But there's been a lot of injuries at Ames over the last year, track and cross country. The talent's there. You had him 5. I think I had him 4.
Something like
or
that.
Or both of us 4 or 5, somewhere in that area. Are you hitting the panic button on Ames?
Man. 4A girls is still fairly open. I do think those top 3 might be pretty solidified. So in the sense of getting a trophy, I would say panic. But if anyone or if there's a girl on, obviously on the girl side, that can pull out some magic in the next few weeks, I'd put some money on Claire Helmers being able to do so. Even so, you still need a 4 and 5 to compete with those big dogs on top, especially in Class 4A. So I would say yes, and that from that side of things, panic.
This is such a fascinating one because you legitimately have, if Helmers progresses, now she's back, stays healthy, she gets in shape, she hasn't been able to race, gets in race shape. You legitimately have 2 girls that could be in the top 5. And then if Rizdal runs well, she's probably in contention to be on the deck. And then, like you said, you got to have a 4 and 5. This is the year Ames has been pointing to for 4 or 5 years. All these girls are seniors. They finally seem to have everyone healthy. I am going to place the panic button on them right now. I just need to see it all come together in a meet, and I haven't seen it for years. One's hurt, one's not. It just hasn't all been smooth the last couple years. So I'm hoping over this last 5 weeks that they can put it all together and see where it stacks up.
A little Ames magic, potentially?
Little Ames magic. We'll see. And hopefully for those seniors that they can do it.
Right.
Because it's been a long 2 to 3 years for them.
I agree.
All righty, and the last one here is the Dallas Center Grimes girls. I'm going to hit the panic button right away on this one. Preseason number 2 in Class 4A. They were scheduled to return everyone, I believe, right? 6 of 7, I believe.
I'll look quick.
And it just has been a bumpy start for the Mustangs. I think they're currently, 14th in the IATC rankings. I'm trying to pull that up here.
Yeah, they only lost
They're
a
12th.
5 last year, but with their depth, it was kind of a plug and place.
Right. So they're currently 12th, Kyle. We still have not seen the Myers sisters. Emily Myers, 18th at the state meet last year. Jordan Myers, also in the top 50 last year for DCG. Maddie Schmitz, the outstanding half-miler for DCG, has not competed yet as well. So you could either say, no panic, those girls might come back. They come back. It might be pretty good. But we're at the midway point. We haven't seen them.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, because the teams we have talked about, we know that there's some certain kids coming back later on. I'd be curious to know before hitting the panic button, I guess, or, I hope they're getting healthy or are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's good. So in that sense, I'm going to not hit the panic button yet, but maybe the get healthy button or I need more info button.
All right. I think that's fair. I do. I was just hoping over this 5 weeks for DCG, we'd start to see some pieces back in the line. Like even with Ames, we saw Helmers. She's back out there.
Yep.
Waukee, McConkey ran for the first time on Saturday in a JV race at Heartland. We're starting to see those crucial pieces, and we just haven't seen that yet with DCG, so that's why I placed the panic.
Right, because I think we've seen this in years past where teams aren't necessarily healthy, and then they get a ton of runners back at the end, and it can, especially with they wait to do the assignments late, and if DCG also or whatever school gets all these ringers back, and it hurts a school that has performed well all season or something like that.
That's a good point.
So those are some things that definitely good to keep an eye on. But
good point. All right, let's go to Class 2A, and this.
Yeah.
This, maybe more so than any of the years we've done this, Kyle, obviously adding the computer model this year with James has been transformational, I'd say, for our sport. Both, I think it's positive. I think there's some coaches and spectators, fans of the sport that maybe are a little like, well, I don't know why they're so different than the IATC rankings. Well, I think we need to first start by saying it's not really a ranking for the team that James is putting out. It's more of like a strength.
Yeah. Like
How would you say that?
Power
index.
Power rating, power index. Like Bound has it for track, I think. Like I think this one's more accurate, but exactly that. And take the time, sit there for, search the results. The Iowa run, jump, throw website is fantastic. I especially like that to look through more the individual side of things. But the crosscountryratings.com is very efficient. You can search by schools, look up all the meets that they've been to. It removes the out-of-state teams, so the GRIAC results were a lot easier to pick through. It's fantastic that we have this resource.
I'm not sure what that was. It's a
Ghost.
loud noise in the house. All right, we'll continue on. So with the 2A, and I must say, the IATC is not using the team rankings. The individual rankings are strictly the computer model rankings. The team rankings that crosscountryratings.com are just another resource for our own rankers. We have rankers that rank each class, so I think that's important to say. So let's go to the 2A girls here. first off, just a complete wide open race, in my opinion. There's no favorite right now. And this is just an interchangeable, it seems like. Van Meter's probably been the most consistent. But they're running with a 4.5-minute spread right now at a lot of these meets, which we've seen at the state meet could be dangerous for a state title contender. But on the left, you've got the IATC rankings. On the right, you've got the computer model rankings. And one thing I'll also point about the computer model, sometimes the schools up in the corners of the states, their computer model ranking will take a little longer to be more equal to the central Iowa, the eastern Iowa, the southern Iowa, because they don't race a lot of those teams. They don't leave the corners, so they keep racing each other, and
Right.
that affects their number in a different way than Van Meter racing 4A schools and 3A schools and the top 1A schools like they did at Panorama.
Right.
So, you look at those rankings, Kyle. Where are you at in the midseason evaluation for the 2A girls?
Well, the IATC does an incredible job.
They have been really good.
Lights out. So one, thank you. Again, that's a lot of work, I know, for those crews that do that.
Really good this year.
But Van Meter, Mid Prairie, Tipton, I have the same exact top three right now, especially Van Meter. Just competed well with Des Moines Christian, Winterset, and beat ADM, Ballard, North Polk. Like, that to me is a pretty good sign that you're in contention, especially down a class. Unity Christian is one of those Northwest Iowa schools. The only things that I can really find is they've been close to MOC Floyd Valley in 3A, and I think they raced at Augie Twilight. So that is a school that I need more data on, so I don't know where to put them exactly yet. And then Forest City, I'm not quite as high on Forest City, but they did just take down a pretty good Clear Lake team this week. I have Sumner at 4, and then Waukon, which we'll get to in a bit here. I moved them up to 5, but Waukon didn't have this impressive performance before these rankings came out.
That's another thing to add is the computer model is daily, pretty much live. The IATC rankings are every Tuesday. So these might look different because we pulled this from today. And the IATC rankings haven't been updated yet since last Tuesday.
Right.
So these are live. Unity Christian, I'm pretty high on Unity Christian. I don't know if they're the number one team, but I do think they're a top 5 program. Right now they've got a ton of depth. Who is their number one? Liston, I think, is their number one runner. Blanking, I should have wrote it down.
I can't remember off the top of my head either. And honestly, it's a lot because I haven't seen them in a ton of results. You know, a lot of these other schools I've seen several times. A lot of them race each other. So that is a piece of it. It's not it's a geographical thing. It's nothing. It's no fault to Unity Christian. And they're might come in a little bit more under the radar.
Yeah. So Unity Christian, their number one runner is Addison Liston. And, of course, Katie Young last year was really good. She's ranked 13th right now. So I think it's a formidable team. So if I had to go with my top 5, I'd be going with Mid Prairie at 1, Van Meter at 2. I think I like Unity Christian at 3. And then I would go Tipton and Waukon at 4 and 5. So,
like you said, it's wide open too.
Wide open.
There's probably a handful more teams we could have maybe put in this
Albia.
conversation.
Don't forget about Albia.
But those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say 6 you have mentioned, plus Sumner Fred are probably the top 7 is where I would kind of cut it off.
All right, let's go to the boys. This one's even more wild.
Especially after this week.
IATC rankings on the left, computer model on the right. Boy, the computer always likes Okoboji, don't they? This was the one last year we were like, how is Okoboji number 1 or 2? Then they got second.
And they've even ran without Osler once, didn't
The
they?
last meet at Tim Thomas's meet, they ran without Osler, ran very well without him. So that's what makes me think the computer in this situation might be in a good kind of mindset if a computer has a mindset.
Man. And I'm going a little bit off here. The forecast thing on it is fun too. You know, you could put all these teams in a forecasted meet and see the team scores. Sheraton had a good week. They've looked really impressive of late. Man. Pretty crazy the the differences in the two, but
Well, Forest City's been all over the place, and we had Coach last week on. Their girls were fantastic on Thursday at Clear Lake. The boys, however, did not have their best night. So they're just kind of everywhere. We just got a text come in from James. Let's see what James said live on the show. This is the nice thing about going. Here we go. We got a prediction. From the forecast, on the girls' side, Van Meter, Unity Christian, and Forest City. 52, 66, 74. Maybe he can run those teams on the right there for the boys as well. But Kyle, my number one team, Denver.
same.
The way that they're running with Gomez and Mathis and now Knobloch. Knobloch's been key at their number 3, and he keeps getting closer to Mathis. Man, that is a really good top 3 for Denver.
And I got a text. Gomez and Sauser ran at Starmont, I believe, this week. Sauser's an impressive dude, and they said Gomez is even more impressive, is the text that I received. He said, buy stock now.
Buy stock now. Okay. And I really do like Spirit Lake, too. So I would say Denver, Spirit Lake, and Okoboji would be my top 3. Sheldon had a good week. I like how they appeared in the computer. I'm guessing the IATC will reflect that this week as well. I think they're a sneaky team. They almost beat Spirit Lake. I think they're only like 8 or 10 behind. This is a really good class. Sheraton has some studs. So, yeah.
And Sheraton's issue might be they just haven't raced big enough schools yet. You know, they beat Linville Sully, who 4 weeks ago we would have been like, so what? And now it's like, okay, beating them by 35 is pretty good. They did beat Knoxville. They're a Class 3A school that's pretty decent. But I have Denver 1, Mid-Prairie 2, Forest City 3, which they had a crazy week this week. They had all 7 run, but they think they all finished in a different order than they did like at the Spirit Lake meet. And they all ran completely different times. Crazy. So maybe off meet for Forest City, let's call it. Spirit Lake at 4, and then Waukon at 5.
I'm trying to do my forecast here. I'm going to do it.
Live on the show.
Live on the show. Folks, if you haven't done the forecast on crosscountryratings.com, you got to go and do it. It's really cool. And it's spinning. Hopefully the internet's working in this house. We'll let it spin for a while. Give it 3 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Not there. All right, we're moving on. Moving on. We'll get that result later. Okay. Rankings boost. Kyle, we got 3 teams on the rankings boost this week in the state of Iowa for cross country. Who do you got?
Let's lead it off with the unranked Washington boys in Class 3A. They've been pretty solid in Class 3A the last few years. They got Parker Shantz back this week. He's a junior for them, I believe. Huge difference maker because Washington does not have the depth of some of those other higher up programs in Class 3A. They take down number 16 Fort Madison pretty comfortably. Again, they don't have a ton of room for error, but I do look for them to move into the rankings this week.
I got to say, Cedar Rapids Prairie. So we got them up from, what were they, 13 to 9 this week. They go and win Heartland without their best runner. And hopefully Nick Lee gets back, because if he gets back, they're definitely the 3rd best team. And I'll leave it at that, because Cedar Falls and Dowling are probably still a step ahead, assuming Cedar Falls has everyone running and healthy. But Cedar Rapids Prairie, Kyle, what a victory for Coach Schwartz. And we're hoping to get him on the show here in the next week or so. But they definitely, I think they got to be number 3 this week, 9-3 after that victory.
And yes, one, yes, but two, they're not a team with a ton of depth either. They're okay 1 through 5 without Lee. They don't necessarily have a 6. They get him back. They definitely have a little more flexibility at 6, but not a ton by any means.
I put ×2 because they were on this last week.
There we
All right,
go.
what do you got next?
Des Moines Christian girls. They just tied Winterset.
Pretty good week.
That's right. Beat ADM, North Polk, and Ballard. Those 3 schools are ranked 7, 8, and 9 in Class 3A. Des Moines Christian currently number 15. And then North Polk was ranked 17th. They beat them. That North Polk team also beat number 8 Ballard. So that Raccoon River Conference is pretty fiery right now with all those schools. It seems like just beating each other each week. And then they had a good showing at Heartland.
Yeah, and this is a team that I think is going to continue to get better. They got a lot of youth. Erzin's running better and better every meet. They got another Erzin on the team. It's their 5th runner right now, Charlotte. 5th or 6th. 4, 5, and 6. I think if they shore that area up, they'll continue to rise in the 3A rankings. It's a very young team.
Mm-hmm.
And then Linville-Sully. I think we mentioned them last week.
I think we did the welcome to the zone. Now they get the ratings
welcome
boost.
to the zone. Now they're getting the ratings boost. What did they knock down? Number 3 Martinsdale by 30 points.
Yes.
6/3.
Yep.
In Class 1A for Coach Arkema's Linville-Sully squad. So that is a good week there for those teams here on our rankings boost. Let's go to our meet recap segment, and then we're going to go to Bloomer Trivia before we head to our couple mid-season awards, and that'll be about for tonight. So let's go Cedar Falls first, and then we'll go to Starmont, and then we'll finish on Saturday's Heartland meet. The Rick Engel Classic at Cedar Falls, the 39th edition of the Rick Engel Classic. Really impressive, Kyle. They've always battled Heartland, and they've strung this meet together with quality teams. They're not losing quality on this Thursday. It's a fantastic course there. I've been there several times. It's an honest course. Got some hills. Joel, did you ever run at Cedar Falls? No?
I did not. No.
We had state qualifying there my freshman year.
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
it, Birdsall Park?
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome course.
Yeah. And Troy Becker, who we mentioned before on this show in years past, is their AD. Just a great guy, big running guy, track guy. They do a great job there. So at this one, Kyle, in the girls' race, it was Charlie Gall. Is it Charlie or Charlie? We should probably...
I thought Charlie.
We're going to go Charlie. My son, a 3-year-old, just got invited to a birthday party at school with a Charlie. And he says, Charlie, every time. Not Charlie. But we're going to go with Charlie. Kyle, I think this is right now 4A's number 1 runner.
No disagreement.
She's lost once, and that was to Farabee. Since then, she's defeated every ranked top 5 to 10 runner across the state. Olivere, the top returner in 4A, she's beaten her twice. She beat the field at Marshalltown, which included Messerly. It's included Turk. The only racers she hasn't ran against are Morehauser of Centennial and the Pleasant Valley girls. So I'm going to assume she's number 1 right now. And she gets the W here on her home course. Olivere was second, and then the city of Dubuque took the next 6 spots between Hempstead and Senior. And you mentioned Senior last year and how impressive this quick little rebuild has been for the Rams. Kyle, they win this meet 28 points, and this is a quality meet. I mean, you got Cedar Falls in there. You've got Hempstead in there. They put up 28 on the board and easily win this one. Just an impressive performance for Senior and Emma Chesterman, running so well for the Rams.
Yeah, that's we'll get to Chesterman, or I had her on my mid-season breakout star for Senior, but no, awesome meet. I think Southwind honestly used to go to that meet
I think they did too.
way back in the day, but no, impressive for them.
Yep, and Cedar Falls ran well. This was a big meet for them. You know, we've talked about senior, Cedar Falls, Northwest, and Valley, right? Were those 4 girls teams in that 4th to 7th position. And senior might have separated themselves from that group as of right now.
Yeah, and moved up into that next tier is exactly what I did on my Excel sheet this week.
Yep. And in the boys, we had another battle between Nauman and Merrick. And Nauman remains undefeated. 15:29. That's an extremely fast time on that course. Merrick second at 15:34, a 5-second win for Nauman. By the way, has anyone had a tougher schedule than Jaden Merrick this year? He's gone Nauman twice, Dunham once, and Zuber once in his 4 races.
None of them are afraid. Like,
Jeez.
I'm glad we're getting it. It's awesome. You know, we're not just having to wait till the state meet. Like, you know, it's Western Iowa, Eastern Iowa, and wait. Like, I'm glad we're getting it now.
And then Emerson Vokes was third with Slade Bachheister of Kennedy. They both ran 16:12, and A.J. Wiley, Bettendorf, round out the top 5 at 16:14. Something to note here, Cedar Falls not at full strength in this one. Connor Martin, their number 2 runner, did not run, and Charlie Wearing, their number 4 runner, did not run. They still get the victory, 68, Bettendorf 94, and Kennedy 102. Bettendorf solidifies itself as definitely a state meet contending team. I think this is a team that might get a preferred region to get to the state meet.
They've had a really good last couple weeks. And Cedar Falls, like you talked about, they're a deep enough team where they can afford to, you know, hopefully nothing serious, but have a guy sit out a meet, plug somebody in, and still be just fine. So
they're going to need those guys if they want to win the state title. Yeah. So let's go to Starmont. Always one of your favorite meets of the year. It's a good course, right?
I don't think you can get a flatter course in the state. Just around the school, very flat, probably 3 feet of elevation at most. I can check Strava and see what that says. But on the girls' side, Amelia Condon gets the win in 1906. Again, flat course. Grace Essling in second, 1948. And on her home course, Lauren Krogman of Starmont West Central bringing home third. Team race, I feel like a lot of these teams race each other a lot, you know, consistently with Jessup, Independence, Starmont, and these meets all going back, repeating after each week. But we talked a little bit earlier about this Waukon team, number 14, taking down number 6 Sumner Fredericksburg by 2 points, 89-81. Big week for Waukon on the girls' side. I don't think anybody saw that coming. CPU in third. They're unranked in Class 3A, but maybe getting a little ratings bump this week. Number 10, Denver, at 112 points behind, or just behind them. Number 9, Hudson, and then we had Wapsie Valley behind them. But Denver and Hudson only a 2-point battle. So 89 points for first, 114 for fifth. Pretty close meet for all these 2A teams, and throw in one 3A team.
Yeah, I mean, what a week for Waukon. And they could have been in the ratings boost as well for that team. But a big win over Sumner Fred, and that's a good Sumner Fred team.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely in the mix, as you said. They're in your top 5 earlier. So those are 2 teams that are still right in the mix in 2A.
Yeah. Do you know if Coach Reisinger does boys and girls up there?
I don't know.
I can't remember either. But boys.
Let's go to boys.
All right, boys. We talked about
Denver.
Gomez and Sauser. Gomez gets the win by 5 seconds over Connell Sauser. Alex Torres, who we've heard from other coaches, a very impressive runner. He comes in third. And we have to give a shout-out to Coach Reisinger's son, Isaac, coming in fourth, 16:40. Great meet for him and an impressive field. Team-wise, we had number 3 Denver, 50 points, taking down number 8 Olwine with 64. And then Waukon, about 7 points back of them. They are ranked number 9. Bit off of them was number 13 Vinton Shellsburg. I think what probably what we would have predicted going in, but would you say it was maybe a little closer than you thought with those 3 teams?
Not really, because I said last week Olwine is really good.
Yep.
So, yeah, I could see where you're saying maybe close, but a win's a win for Denver with those quality teams there, and I still think in a state meet those 3 guys for Denver running so well that's a lot of low points on the board. I mean, Gomez, he might win the whole thing. He's going to be in the mix. You got Brandon Hughes of Spirit Lake, might have something to say about it. Emerson Vokes of Grundy Center, but
and the defending state champ
Schwarzenegger's lurking. Yeah, it's a good performance for all 3. I think all 3 of those teams walk away from that meet feeling really good about themselves.
I would say the same, and I'd say all 3 feel good about being in that podium conversation or state title conversation.
Let's go to Heartland. And, man, this has been an interesting deal here with the Heartland meet and the GRIAC meet on the same weekend. And I don't think that has been the case in recent memory. Do you know, Joel?
Yeah, in like the past 3-4 years, this hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened in the past. So Heartland got a little diluted this year, more so from the out-of-state schools. I mean, we used to see a lot of Minnesota coming down while GRIAC happened. Some Kansas City, didn't see a lot of Kansas City. But there still was some good out-of-state competition mixed in with some good high school competition. So let's start with the girls, and it was all Pella. Shocking. 36 points for the Dutch. Lincoln Southwest, 85. That's a really good track and field program over there in Lincoln. So I assume they've got some pretty good distance runners. City High, 112. Northwest, 128. And Waukee, 156. Let's start with the champions, Pella. A good day for them. I wouldn't say it was their best meet, but there wasn't much to push them as a team. If you look back at their race at home a few weeks ago, similar times. Some of them were faster, some of them were a little slower, but I think the conditions might have been worse actually on Saturday. It's very humid in the morning. So I think Pella's in a good spot there. They're not contending with anyone in their class. I mean, they're just getting ready at this point for Heartland, or not Heartland, but NXR. Wouldn't you say?
I would absolutely like those postseason meets.
Yeah.
They're like, we just talked about Cedar Falls. You could probably plug a few kids in and still be just fine come to state qualifying, state meet, all those things. Can we vote to move them up to 4A or something?
Yeah. Well, and we're going to see in early October. I know they've tried to pivot their schedule. They're going to head over to City High, but then I think they were anticipating a matchup with Pleasant Valley there. Sounds like PV's going to go to a different meet. So maybe the exchange zone can bring those teams together for a race in Iowa City at the Bud Williams.
Ooh, that'd be sweet. Or a triangular in Ottumwa under the lights. But I respect them trying. I get it.
And Centennial's at City High as well at that meet.
I respect them for trying.
So, anything else in this team race? City High knocks off Northwest.
Yep.
Now, Northwest did not have their best runner in this one. Emmy Danny did not run, but nevertheless, a good win for City High there by 16. I think they were just side by side in the rankings, weren't they? 5 and 6 or 5 and 7? No, it was 5 Northwest and 9 City High. So a good win for City High.
Yep, like you said, no Danny makes a big difference, but.
And then Waukee, I want to point them out. They were 5th overall in this one, 4th in Iowa. And Michelle McConkey, as we mentioned, her first race back, she missed a lot of track, missed most of this season, and she ran in the JV division, got second, 1957. Would have been their second runner here in the varsity lineup. So I think they're now a top 10 team with her back in the lineup. I'm not sure if they're in that group of 4 yet that is off the top 3, but nevertheless a good sign for Waukee.
You think that puts them up there with Valley, Ames, Ankeny, or not quite?
No. Top 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
More like Hempstead, that area maybe?
Yeah, Hempstead, Ankeny, that group. Yeah, Hempstead, Ankeny, Ames, that group probably, if Ames has everyone.
Yep.
Okay. Individually, it was Farabee, her teammate Brenneman, 17-17, I believe, a course record for Farabee. Elise Brenneman, 18:04. She is the real deal. She gets second in this one. Nora Peterson, Alta Aurelia, comes down for a third-place finish, 18:50. Shout out to Abigail Burns of City High. She finished fifth in this one. A good race for her. So, yeah, some good performances there. And, yeah, that's about it from the girls' race at Heartland. On the boys' side, we already mentioned Prairie with the win, led by Bennett Allred. And, man, this is a tough name here, Kyle. Cole Curizalales, both in the top 15 for the Prairie Hawks. I thought Norwalk ran well. They were the second Iowa school. Tony Anania.
Best race so
best
far this
race.
year.
Building momentum.
Yep.
Building momentum. Waukee Northwest was third. Anania was eighth. Zach Janulevitz of the Wolves was fifth. Man, he has had a really good start to his year, Kyle. I think this is a top 10 runner in 4A. He's finished fifth in this one at 16:07. Extremely consistent through the first four races for him. And then one other note here. How about this? Pella, 228. DMC, Des Moines Christian, 229.
1 point.
And that is 3A number 2 and 3A number 3. Caleb Tenpass had his best race of the year for the Lions, 16:02 for fourth, right ahead of Janny Levitz. So that's a... How about the IATC for getting those rankings right? 2 and 3 and 1 point apart.
That's pretty dang good. And then shout out Dunham.
Oh, yeah, great point.
14 seconds back of Gonzalez. He's a 3-time Nebraska state champ. I think he's run maybe high 840s in the 32, low 850s.
And he's the defending champ at Heartland.
He's a blue chip recruit. Very, 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 very good.
Where he beat Zuber last year at Heartland. So heck of a race. Dunham is running so well for Pella.
Yes, he is.
So, okay.
Good meet.
Bloomer Trivia, here we go. We're ready for Bloomer Trivia. Once again, the rules, you get it right. Well, first off, respond in the comments. The winner is correct. The winner will get a gold, yellow Exchange Zone podcast hat mailed out to you. We'll need your address, so email bdewey@waukeeschools.org. We're ready for you, Joel.
All right, this week's trivia question is, what year did the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union start sponsoring a state cross-country championship for girls?
You got your answer?
Yeah.
You can't win, though.
All right, so there you go. Joel will watch that on the comments, and we will continue on. By the way, Kyle, I have the results of the forecasted 2A 7-school meet. And if we were to race today between those 7 schools, it would come out like this. Spirit Lake, number 1, with 70 points. Okoboji, second, with 76. Denver, third, with 78 points for your top 3. 70, 76, 78. That's pretty cool.
As we would expect.
That is really cool. So, thank you to crosscountryratings.com for providing that. All right, Kyle, you're up first with your mid-season individual surprise of the year. We'll go girls first, and then I'll do the boys. That sound good?
Sure. Yep. I'll start with Emma Chesterman of Dubuque Senior. Just has come on strong for that team. I think a team we all thought that might take a step back with Leah Klopatowskis gone. And she has stepped up for senior, and they are slowly climbing the rankings throughout this year with some more and more impressive performances each week.
Nice. You can just rattle them all off.
Oh my goodness.
Or is that your overall? Or you want to go through your 5 of them?
Ooh, I kind of just went random order there.
Okay.
I think it's. I want to make sure I get it right. I think it's Elsie Brenneman.
I think they said Elise
Maybe
in an
I
email.
probably typed it wrong.
No, that's how they spell it. We're gonna get an email.
I'm just gonna say Brenneman right now because I'm double guessing myself, and I know I typed it, but we just talked about her and Pella and the team, how much better she makes the Pella team.
Man, she's really good.
Tyra Shootback of West Bend Mallard.
Great year.
Exactly. I think Class 1A, if I remember right. Obviously, she's got 2 very, very talented runners in front of her right now that she's going up against. Ava Bussey, Lewis Central, having a great year for them. And then my last one's Chloe Glosser of Pekin. Very unexpected the season she's having this year, leading Pekin. What's their mascot? Panthers?
Yeah.
All right.
Elsie Brenneman.
Already got it?
Gosh, I thought it was Elise.
I had it. I was right. Look at that.
Okay, and then here's another update. Des Moines Christian beat Pella from the Heartland meet. So there you go.
Oh, maybe when you remove the other.
I don't know. I was looking at the official results on online race.
I'll check Cal Murdoch's.
So thank you for the people who are texting us right now with these results. I'm going to go to the boys, Kyle. On our sheet, I am in the black. You're in the red. So I'm going to do my few first. Owen Wolf of Dowling Catholic. I mean, what a breakthrough performance is this year for Owen Wolf. This is a really strong start and has catapulted this Dowling Catholic Maroon team into a really good spot. We knew about Jack Flory, who, by the way, has been sensational himself. But Owen Wolf has really been the difference maker for this team. Preston Johnson. What a great story out of Marshalltown.
Absolutely.
Obviously, he's had a terrific start. We've talked about him on the podcast. Just had a great year of training to get ready for this, and it's paid off. And then Isaac Rankin of Knoxville. Undefeated on the year for the Panthers, and he's had a great season, the junior, for the Knoxville Panthers.
Good picks there. I got 2 more with Slater Buckheister of
That's your
Cedar
guy.
Rapids
If there was
Kennedy.
an all mid-season name team,
True.
he'd be on that.
Oh, man. I'm trying to think. I think it's Duke Slater Field at Kinnick Stadium, if that's, I don't know. Anyway, onward. Adam Gray was probably the big name for Kennedy. Still is a very key piece to that lineup, but Buckheister here has really stepped up for them. And then Gavin Grunhoved, he's currently ranked number 1 in Class 1A for North Iowa Buffalo Center. I still like Shaw, Matthew Shaw, as my pick, but Grunhoved having an outstanding season.
All right, let's go to the mid-season surprise teams of the year. And I'm going to start with my 2, and that would be Fort Madison, the Bloodhounds. On the girls' side, Kyle, this is a team that was preseason not ranked. And they currently, by the IATC, are ranked, let's see. In 3A, they are ranked 16th by the IATC. And then in the team model, on the computer rankings, I think they're a little higher. But this is a really good Fort Madison team. I think they're gonna take their team to the state meet. The ratings, crosscountry.com has them at number 4.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of those teams have just beat up on each other.
Once again, dead far corner of the state, Fort Madison. Those teams need a little more time to cook their ranking.
Yep.
They just need to keep seeing newer teams, and hopefully they do over the time. And then how about English Valleys? Preseason number 15. The computer models have them in this situation. Actually, they're pretty low on the computer models. And then this one, the IATC has them ranked higher. So just a wide variety.
That's right.
But the IATC has them at 7. And the computer models don't have them ranked. So there you go.
Which one was that again?
English Valleys.
Oh yeah, I'm big on English Valleys. Where do I have them?
I'd
I
like to
got
know the
'em.
nickname of English Valley.
Not a clue, but I got them 9th.
Okay. Who do you got?
Well,
Surprise team.
both Linville Sully teams. Obviously, the girls just beat Martinsdale by 30 points. They've beaten Pella Christian. They've ran well against Williamsburg. Even their boys team is running well. 35 back of Sheraton this week. They've beaten Martinsdale. They beat Pella Christian, Pekin, just to name a few. Not far behind Newton. I think like only 9 points. So both Linville Sully squads. What's my next one? Tri-Center?
Yeah, Trainer.
Trainer on the girls' side. They beat Tri-Center by 12. They've beaten Logan Magnolia, but the biggest performance that they had was week 2, 12 back of a really good Harlan squad who's ranked top 5 in 3A right now.
Yep.
So Trainer, again, I'd like to see them race a few more teams to get a better feel for them. They're starting to. Des Moines Christian we already talked about, so I'm not going to dive into that one too much more on the girls' side. Their boys are obviously impressive too. And then Dubuque Senior, we just hit on the girls. I think preseason, I don't even remember. Let's check where we had senior.
8. They're 8.
They're 8. We both had them 9. I don't remember officially what the IATC had them at, but just to me, they're having a very impressive season with how much parity there is in the Class 4A girls.
And then on the boys' side, our surprise teams here at the midseason evaluation point. I've got 2. I've talked plenty about Denver. 17th in the preseason. They're currently might be the new number 1 team this week, at least 1 or 2. And then Indianola, who we spent a lot of time last week talking about, a non-ranked team, and they're in the top 5 in 4A. You've already mentioned, we've both mentioned Prairie plenty of times. And who's your last one there, the boys?
We got Indianola, who's had just...
I just said Indianola.
Sorry. Denver.
Just said Denver.
What? Oh, I can't read my font. Oh, my goodness.
Riverside.
It's been a long week. Oh, my goodness. I was so... I was going to add something on Denver. Got myself thrown off here. Riverside. Absolutely. Where's my fun stat on Riverside?
Oh, they're down on the bottom.
Yeah, I put them in our quick hits later on. So this week, dominating win over Woodbine, they're number 5, Riverside number 4, Woodbine number 5. They go 2-4-5-6-19. So not a ton of depth there. Remember last year they had 3 state qualifiers, 2 returned. They got freshman Eli Hudnall and sophomore Owen Fenner stepping up big for them this season.
Okay. We're going to do our last one here, the Mid-Iowa All-State teams. This is all classes combined. First team I have, team. Then we're going to check on our Twitter poll and get our winner for the trivia. Do we have a winner?
We do.
Okay. All right, first team in the boys mid-season all-runners. Nauman, Zuber, Dunham, Merrick. And I think those would be unanimous.
Yes.
And then I'm going to put Owen Wolf of Dowling Catholic in the 5 spot for right now the top 5 male runners in Iowa.
Yeah, top 4 easily unanimous. You can't argue a single one. There is a few names you could maybe plug in at 5. For the second state all-team, we went with Keegan Decker, Jack Flory, Emerson Vokes, Owen Merritt, and to wrap it up, Logan Blake of Gilbert.
Good picks. Really good picks. And on the girls' side, first team, I have 3 unanimous, and then 2, maybe 4 unanimous. We'll see what you think. Farabee and Brenneman are both unanimous, in my opinion. And Sonderman of Harlan. And then I went with Steinis and Charlie Gall as my 5. That's a tough one. We're leaving out Richmond.
Yep.
We're leaving out Denton. We're leaving out. Well, I'm naming your team. Sorry.
You're naming the second team.
I'm sorry.
But
Stop.
I mean, unanimous. That's the thing. A lot of these kids. Let's just name the second team because a lot of those could be on the first team too. So to me, I'm only going to put Marissa as the
Really?
only unanimous at this time. Because we
You
do have
got to put Brenneman.
we have a lot of 1A, 2A kids here that. No, I'm only putting one unanimous. That's it.
All right.
But Lily Denton, Nora Peterson, Alyssa Richmond, Laura Streck, and Annika Morehauser as second team, all mid-season All-State team.
Timeout. I made a mistake. I just realized it, and I didn't get a text. Didn't get anything. Denton beat Sonderman head-to-head to start the year. But Sonderman's got a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
She's running extremely well right now. Do we keep it? Denton,
Yeah.
kind of new.
It's posted on our.
Kind of new to the sport.
Yep. I think it's fair. Sonderman, especially, I know this is for fun. It's the reason I know why we're doing it, but the resume.
Definitely not unanimous. I retract that. I still stand by Farabee and Brenneman as unanimous.
Sonderman's 4-year resume or 3.5-year resume is probably more impressive, but, man,
That's a good list.
it is.
That's a good list.
It was fun to piece together.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names that we could easily mention, but what's
All right, we're
Should we-
going to go to our updates on the Twitter poll first. How was that looking?
Yeah,
It's highly contested.
With 92 votes, we have in first place Brooks with 30%. Second place is Asics with 25%. Third place is Nike with 23%. And last is Hoka with 22%.
Wow. There you go. They listened to you, Kyle.
nice? Team Brooks. I just got a glimpse of the chat this week. It's pretty good.
I still can't see the chat, so
Anania and Nauman are having a conversation.
let's race the mile.
Yeah, no. Anania just says, "Quentin, you ready for this weekend?"
Oh, okay.
I think it's in fun. I don't think it's.
So where would they be racing? Rimrock? No. Ask them in the chat.
Yeah.
Where are you guys racing this weekend?
I don't think they'd go to Dubuque Senior.
No. Not Norwalk. Okay. So, Bloomer Trivia, what do we have?
So the correct answer was 1966, and the first person to get it correct was Cooper Steeples.
What are you laughing at?
Bondurant for our Blue Jay. Thanks, Coop. We had he was first to put it in. We had two people get it right, but
That away, Cooper. Would you tell him the answer?
no. I was doing senior posts on social media today, and in the post I put this kid has like data and statistics for everything, even
We need to get him a spot down here.
I know it. No kidding. Nice work,
All right.
Cooper.
That away, Cooper. Tell Kyle your address, and we'll get you a hat. Or he'll just give you one.
I'll bring it.
Oh, man.
Looks like Anania said it's not a race this weekend.
Ooh, maybe a college visit or
Oh, okay. All right.
tease
Good.
on the podcast. No
Good.
breaking news. but
Good. Good stuff, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for commenting and tuning in tonight.
All right, let's finish this thing up. We've already talked here in our quick hits. Let's go through it. We have a couple more left because we've covered a lot of this. Dowling Catholic, the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Roy Griak champions. I believe they won it last year, too, didn't they?
I think that's right.
They've won it a few times. They were really good. Liberty, only 16 behind Ankeny at Griak as well. As I said, I thought Ankeny ran pretty well. So this Dowling team, I'm excited to see them run against some teams here in Iowa. They've been out of the state for a couple meets here in Kansas and now up in Minnesota. But they look to be ready to go.
Always are.
Usually at the Fort Dodge meet is about when it's like, okay, it's go time.
Yep. Yeah, they always are. We know it. They have the luxury, I guess, to travel out of state with like Cedar Falls, the lineups that they have. They can do a lot of different things, I feel. Maybe not quite as deep this year as years past, but, yeah, good meet for them. Good meet for Liberty, too.
PV girls go over to Peoria, Illinois, to a really big meet. 3-mile race, not
Yep.
a 5K, and they finished 4th. One thing to note, I did not see Grace Bolin in the results for the Spartans, but they ran very well without her. And that'll be another team to watch, as Joel will mention. And the Decorah boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they take down Urbandale. Urbandale, they were second at the Johnston meet to Johnston, but beat ADM. So a good sign for Decorah to take down Urbandale. I'm trying to think where that meet was. Top of my head. Cedar Falls. Sorry.
Here's a team we haven't talked about for years.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the beginning stages of the podcast, Dubuque Wahlert girls were the standard in 3A cross country. Them and Ballard at the time, when those girls were really rolling at Ballard. It was Ballard and Wahlert and Ballard. Well, they're kind of back in the mix a little bit. Might begin after a couple years off. They've had a good week. Ranked 20th, continue to rise in the rankings.
And they float a little bit between 3A and 2A, don't they? If I remember right.
Yeah. Well, I think they're 3A most of the time.
And then we already talked about the Waukon girls and the Tri-Center boys. Tri-Center boys only 8 back of that number 5 Woodbine team, but they also take down number 13 St. Albert. And then we had 2 1-point ranked battles this week. Besides Des Moines Christian and Pella, Sibley Cheaton by 1 point over number 9 Sioux Central. Sibley O coming in at number 14. And then number 18, Columbus Community, taking down number 12, Van Buren, by a single point.
Columbus Community, I called them out a couple weeks ago. I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
for a bigger rise in the rankings. They take down number 12.
I agree. Let's see where they are on my extensive Excel sheet.
The old stomping grounds of Mike J.
I only got them at 16, but 1A is wild right now.
All right. Last little bit here, we look at this upcoming week of meets. And Joel, you've got 5 down. What are you watching this week across the state?
Well, we're looking at the Jim Boughton meet. There'll be Cedar Falls and Hempstead and Pleasant Valley. Some of those schools will be there. We've got the Indianola meet, which will include Gilbert, Knoxville, Carlisle, Des Moines Christian, and 3 of the other Des Moines schools, East, North, and Lincoln. Then we have the Roland Story meet, which Kyle will be going to, including North Polk, Ballard, Southeast Valley, and then also Bondurant Farrar, and then Nevada too. And then Central Springs will include Forest City, Lake Mills, Nasha, Plainfield, and a few others. And then this weekend we also have the Rimrock Classic down in Kansas. We have quite a few schools going down there, including Waukee, Northwest, Ankeny Centennial, Ames, and Iowa City West.
Some decent meets this week. You know, it might look like it on the schedule. Yeah, senior hosting the Jim Boughton, Central Springs with current number 1 Forest City, in 2A current number 1 and 1A Lake Mills. So some sneaky meets this week.
Mm-hmm. Indianola boys and Gilbert boys.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I think Gilbert's a heavy favorite still, but it'll be a good test for them and Indianola on that course at Pickard Park. Beautiful course down there. Nice challenge as well. All right. Well, that was a nice hour and 12-minute episode and our mid-season evaluation. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a great start to the podcast so far this year. As we sign off tonight, it is still Brooks leading the Twitter poll with 29%. And we'll see how that finishes up. It's open for an hour. And other than that, anything else to add?
No.
Okay.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
And like, subscribe.
Got to give us a like, subscribe, and always feel free to reach out to us if you ever want to contribute to this show. We have some people who have made some graphics for us that we're going to be debuting, our picks, which I'm a little scared to do because you never know how those will look at the end of the year, but we're going to do that. And had a nice listener make a nice graphic for us that we're going to display. And, yeah, so.
Especially 1A. We could use some help in 1A.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure. Especially with how much parity there is this year. If you got some 1A thoughts, please send them. The more we get,